Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 1988 cult classic horror comedy film, Beetlejuice. This is a Tim Burton directed film. Danny Elfman did the music for this. They are one of the dynamic duos of Hollywood, for that matter. Michael Keaton plays Beetlejuice. You have Winona Ryder playing Lydia. You have Catherine O'Hara. You have Gina Davis. You have Alec Baldwin. You have an all-star cast of characters. Let's put it that way. And this film is incredible. It's withstood the test of time. 32 years later, it's been a hit Broadway musical, which closed right before COVID-19 pandemic started. I did not watch the Beetlejuice musical. My mom watched it with one of our friends. She absolutely loved it, but I've heard nothing but great things about the Beetlejuice musical. So Beetlejuice is a great horror comedy antagonist, villainy sort. Mainly he's out to benefit himself, let's put it that way. So this is a horror comedy based off of death, right? So you have two characters in a large farmhouse in Connecticut who die, and they can't cross over. So they are recently deceased. They receive their handbook for the recently deceased. They can't leave their house though. So anytime they leave the house, they go into this weird world of sandworms with two mouths and these gorgeous creatures with black and white giant sandworms jumping and trying to eat them. But then eventually they're given the handbook of the recently deceased to study and learn how to be deceased. And then they get chalk, they make a door to get to the other world to see what's going on. They have a caseworker. The other world is just very entertaining. It's green, it's neon, there's purple all over the place. It's just such a fun, toxic environment. It's great. So you meet other deathly characters. This one guy is roadkill, so he's smushed and he's like, oh, I feel a little flat, things like that. Their caseworker is a smoker. She has smoke coming out of her a throat. It's so great with the practicality. The makeup is incredible. The practical effects are incredible. The stop motion is incredible. The CGI was quite visual back then, so it's a nice mix of everything, to be honest. The masks are great for the horror versions of the husband and wife duo, Alec and Gina respectively, who are trying to haunt the newcomers who live in their house. They're city folk. So it's about trying to get their house back, and this guy Beetlejuice presents himself after reading an obituary. He is a dead guy. He used to work at this other world type of environment, but he's really out just to make a buck for himself. So he tries to get hired by them to scare the ever-living crap out of the current residents of the house, to get them out of the house. But it doesn't work because they are now enthralled and want their other friends to see the place and sell tickets to get a ghostly experience, right? So it's this whole back and forth between living and dead, and then eventually Beetlejuice forces himself to marry Winona Ryder's character of Lydia in order to stay in the real world, to then get the other ghosts out. And it's a back and forth of who said what when and all these things, but it's just fun. It's fast. It's like 90 minutes long, something like that. It's hysterical. There's slapstick humor. It's rated PG, despite the fact that there's a whole scene of Beetlejuice going into literally a hooker's paradise. So it's entertaining. This film is great, and it's making a resurgence, obviously because of the musical, but also in 2017's It, you have in Bill Dambroth's room a poster of Beetlejuice. So this is just such a pop culture reference. Like, he's his own Lego character. Like, it's just such a wonderful Halloween spooky time feel movie. And Jack Skellington's head is on top of the carousel that Beetlejuice wears on top of his head prior to The Nightmare Before Christmas actually coming about in 1993. So that's a fun little 5-year gap between the films. Michael, I forget his last name, but he did the screenplay for both Beetlejuice and Nightmare. I know Beetlejuice 2 is currently in development, so we'll see how that happens, when that happens. I know it's going to be quite some time because of certain restrictions on filming, but we'll see. So yeah, spooky season's upon us. Let's keep this going. Mucho mahalo.